Planned departures. He punched the cruise control, undid his safety belt, and aimed for the trees. He lived several moments, merged with the wreckage and the branches. The car idled in the garage, a hose running from its exhaust into the window. The CD changer played on, and the dead man spilled a bit of red wine. The shotgun he had fired with his toes laid near his crumpled torso. The inside of his head splattered and misted the wall behind him. The last step took him over the cliff, and the acceleration energized him. Fully awake, hitting the rocks, he never made another movement. He beat his wife, finished the case of beer, and then called the police. He threatened them with his empty shotgun until they riddled him with bullets. He saved up his pain meds, and though he suffered, he remained quite silent. One evening he took them all and drowned quietly in his vomit. After drinking for hours, they roared off upon their powerful new jet skis. The force of their impact killed him even before his friend drowned. He overate and then smoked, drank heavily, and laid about for many years. The crushing pain in his chest finally came like a prize in the mail. She lay in the now cold bathtub, water stained pink with her blood. Her wrists were neatly slashed and her shapely legs were nicely shaved. She said her goodbyes to each of the family as they gathered all around her. She willed herself to be gone and simply ended the pain and the weakness. He was strapped into the explosives through a mumbling of prayers and praise. As the mullah triggered his flight by cell phone, his family celebrated. Lost in stone depression, his subconscious purposely ignored a dump truck. His shabby little car was crushed as it ground him into a juicy pulp. Left for another, she shortly stepped off the platform just in front of a train. There was not much left to clean up, and the funeral was very small. Sealing dry cleaning bags over his head, he sat quietly and turned quite blue. Condensation had formed by the time his youngest child entered the room. With a noose around his neck attached to the ceiling, he kicked away the chair. He struggled, gagging in the air for a 5-minute eternity. He strapped on a great rock, tied up his hands, then jumped into the water. He took a breath at 10 feet, choked, and inhaled but one more time. She overdosed, not quite on purpose, but surely not purely by accident. The attendants discussed the fine augmentation work done on her breasts. Fortified with a quart of vodka, he vowed to end this winter in the snow. He was not cold for long, and soon he fell asleep and did not awaken. Poised high over the bay with a strong tide rushing out far below, he leaped. Crabs, mollusks, and scavenging fish cleaned him up pretty quickly. Unable to stand his continuing success, he put his small plane into a tailspin. I read that he was a good pilot. It was a clear day, and he was without mechanical issues. Facing life with no possibility of parole, he dissed the leader of the blacks. One day later, they knifed him to ribbons underneath the showers. Depressed over a lack of attention, her suicide attempts kept her alive as a fatal overdose overtook her. She realized her mistake. Strung out on the last of his crank, he began to mix another batch. The explosion and fire burnt his toothless face beyond all recognition. Flushed with an early success, the guitarist bought his first new motorcycle. His long golden hair was matted with the contents of his skull. At midnight of the shortest day, the medicine man finished his great circle. His people evinced little sadness, as he was now with their ancestors. Far from any trail, he found a spot beneath a spruce, facing south with a grand view. He took the pills and waited for the crows, hoping never to be found.